What's up, dudes? Chooch back with another one. Today we're gonna be looking at the Inmotion Adventure. So this is the final view of this thing. I know we saw a few pictures early on, some leaked pictures, but you couldn't really see the whole front of the machine, and we didn't really understand how the suspension mechanism worked. And they've released a second teaser video, and we can kind of learn a lot more about it now by judging the size of it, by looking, at how nimble the thing is. We can calculate like some battery statistics and about how much I think this thing's gonna weigh. I think it's gonna be one of the best selling electric unicycles of all time because this is what people want. Inmotion has proven themselves as a company. They're reliable machines, they're quality machines, and people really tend to like them. The people that have gotten V12s off my recommendation, for the most part, everybody really enjoys those wheels. People that have gotten the V13 absolutely love that machine as well, and the V11 is a top selling machine, and all of them are quality. They really are top quality, and this one I think is going to be an all-time one of the best trail riding wheels, and for jumping and for doing all your type of off-road and stuff, as well as on-road stuff. I think the on-road people will enjoy this as well. And it looks like it's going to be coming with these power pads. I really like that because in all the videos I've seen so far, it has these same power pads on here, and it looks like it's going to be coming with these already on that, which is very cool. I don't know if they're going to adhere via Velcro or if they're going to clip on there. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I think they're going to come with power pads, and good one. I think this is very cool that it's coming with actual power pads that people want, so you don't have to buy these extra. So very cool. So check it out. I mean, I'm really liking the overall size of the machine. I'm liking where it comes up to on your knees. Right here, it's not too high, it's not too low. It looks like, this looks like an average size rider right here, and everything looks like this wheel is just set up for for the performance type rider out there. I mean, this really does. It looks like it's not too big and bulky. It doesn't like it's too wide, and the suspension looks like it's gonna definitely work out good on this thing. But I'm liking the power pads, man. These power pads look like they're gonna. I mean, they look perfect. They look like exactly what you need on an EUC. It looks like it is a 17-inch wheel for sure. I'm pretty sure it is a 17-inch wheel. And it looks pretty big, actually. I mean, it looks like a pretty big 17-inch wheel, like I thought it would be. But I think that most people will like the size of it. I think that it'll be perfect. I don't think it'll be too bulky. I think it'll be still a manageable wheel to take on public transit, to put in your car if you need to, and just take up and down stairs, whatever it may be. I think it'll still be definitely a manageable wheel without being just too big and too heavy like a lot of the other wheels that have come out. Like the V13 is getting up there. Once you get over 100 pounds or so, that just is too heavy to manage for a lot of people. Just getting upstairs and in and out of an apartment and all that stuff. I think this right here, I think the weight on this thing will probably be, it'll probably be just like probably around the same weight as the veteran Patton, from the looks of it. But it'll probably be, I'm thinking about like 83, 84, probably like 80 to 85 pounds on this. Just because you got suspension in here, and Inmotion makes a quality machine. They aren't skimping on anything. So I think it will still be, a heavier wheel, but I think that's just how it has to be nowadays. And once you get used to the weight, guys, I'm telling you, like with the V13, I really like the weight, the way it tracks in the woods, the way it really handles itself. It feels like I got something substantial under my feet, and I can hit way bigger bumps with it. I can really, once you get used to the weight, I know it sounds crazy, and it takes a long time to get used to it. But once you get used to the weight, when you have suspension, you have to have suspension and get the suspension dialed in with your weight and the machine's weight. But once you do that, for instance, like with the V13, now that I have the suspension set right, and it's set for my weight in combination with the weight of the machine, the way it rides is just plush. It's just like a motorcycle. You don't really notice the weight of the motorcycle when you have it set up right, because it's man and machine working with each other. And that's kind of the way it is with suspension wheels. You're not fighting the machine. You're kind of meshed with the machine. And that's really kind of the difference when it comes to a non-suspension wheel and a suspension wheel. I think with a suspension wheel, you can have it be way heavier and still manage it much easier than a non-suspension wheel, if that makes sense. So with a non-suspension wheel, you definitely want something lighter weight, though. I will say that. This whole thing right here, see this drop? They've designed a suspension mechanism on this wheel to where it's supposed to not bottom out as easy as the other wheels. The way that the bushings are set up, the way that this thing's sealed, it's using a suspension system basically like the Patent is, but also using a coil shock system in combination with that. So you're getting the best of both worlds. And one of the downfalls of the suspension on like the Bigode, like the T4, I'm not sure about the Extreme, it may be different now, but like with the T4, it had the rubber bushings at the bottom of the suspension sliders. So that was like your, your red zone for your impact. Like if you were about to bottom out, you would have those rubber bushings there to protect it from bottoming out. But this one's designed like with an integral system to where it's has oil filled in the whole suspension slider mechanism, and it's not going to bottom out as easy. So you'll be able to do huge drops and not bottom out. Okay, so this is a look at the whole suspension mechanism on the back. I'm liking this, guys. It looks like it's clean. It looks like it's simple. It looks like there's no frills or binding points or anything like that. It looks like this is just clean, simple, and it's going to work. I mean, it really does. Right here, this is your main kind of pivot point right here, your main fulcrum point, and this is on the King Songs, it's always been curved, or either like a weird shape right here where you got kind of bolts that go in and kind of like a weird, just odd shape, and it always created like a binding point or like a weird wear point. And I think this right here is just clean, simple, and it is just going to work well. I mean, it really is. It's just a simple design. This all looks like it's CNC'd nicely. It looks like it's going to be a strong, rigid design. So with this coil suspension, guys, it's a 200 millimeter shock right here. If you want to replace it, say you want to put a name brand shock in this, if you want to change it out for something different than what it comes with, all you have to do is buy a 200 millimeter mountain bike shock on Amazon, and you put it right in here, and you'll be good to go. So I'm really liking that, guys, because I mean, say if you blow a shock out or something like that, it's not, or if you tear this up or something, you crash it and break something on this shock right here, you can easily switch it. It's modular. You can just go on Amazon and buy any shock you want to, throw it in your machine, and you're good to go. And man, they make some really expensive mountain bike shocks that are 200 millimeter that would be, dude, it would be crazy to put it in this thing and just see the difference. Like, just see how much difference it'd be going for like the top of the line shock you could put in this thing. And you can do that if you want to do it. All right, so this is your whole suspension system right here. And you're going to have 17 levels of compression dampening at the top on this knob right here. So very simple. All you got to do is turn it. You don't have to put any air in this thing. You don't have to, be doing any math calculations, trying to do your air pump right or anything like that. And this design is superior over the air design that's used in the Bigode wheels, guys, because over time, if you don't ride your T4 or your Master or something like that, you just let them sit, they will lose air over time, guys. Like the T4 that just sat out there in the garage, that thing lost air in the suspension over time, and when I went out there to it, I'm like, what? It literally was completely like deflated. So this is a far superior design than the air suspension, guys. This is all just an oil field right here, and it's all closed off to where you can just change. All you have to do is just turn the dial at the top, and this is your compression, and then this is your rebound dampening at the bottom. You have 17 levels of compression dampening. You got about, I think it's 8 levels of rebound dampening at the bottom right here. Super simple, and you'll be able to find your sweet spot, guys. And I really, once you get your wheel, this will be a very easy thing to go out in the field and get right and kind of play around with. And with these suspension wheels, guys, this is your preload right here. And you can type, if you're a much heavier weight rider, one thing you can do on these type of wheels is just crank this preload down right here, and it will be way stiffer if you're, a heavier rider and you really want that stiff suspension. You can do that if you want to, or you can get a stiffer spring. There's a lot of options when it comes to having a suspension system like this that's going to make it a machine that anybody, of any weight can really enjoy, because you can literally get whatever shock you want to and put in here. And you can go on Amazon, guys. If you're a really heavy rider and you want to get this wheel, all you got to do is go on Amazon and get you a mountain bike shock that's 200 millimeters with a stiff coil in it, and it'll completely change the whole dynamic of riding this machine, and you will be able to get the full, you'll be able to get all the range of suspension out of the wheel, being whatever weight you want to, whatever weight you are. And that's the whole awesome thing about coil suspension like this, guys. Air suspension's okay, the whole thing on the sides, but coil suspension is superior to all of it. And I'm telling you guys, it's what we having coil suspension and Inmotion wheel is going to just dominate the whole market. I'm telling you guys, once people ride this wheel and once people try it off-road, I can already tell you people are going to absolutely love this thing. And it really, because once you get it dialed in, once you get the suspension set right, it's just going to be, there's nothing that's going to be able to touch it. I mean, it will feel incredible compared to anything you've ever ridden when it comes to an EUC. I promise you. All right, so here's a side view of it right here. Again, and it just looks really good, man. I'm really liking the design of it and look of it, man. A lot of people are like, oh, I like all black or whatever when it comes. Dude, this looks good, dude. This orange, this everything about this wheel, it looks great. It's one of those things, man. I'm telling you, it'll look really good in person. Once you see this thing in person and you get it out of the box, I promise you'll be like, man, this looks good. This actually looks good. I'm liking that, man. Oh, dude, and look at how protected that reservoir is for that suspension. I'm loving that design. Like this whole handle protects the whole reservoir for the suspension back here. That's well thought out, man. That's really, really nice. That's really a great design. I mean, because with the King Song S22, that reservoir is just hanging out right there in the open to get snagged on anything. If you flip over on it, it'll get broken. This is an incredible design where that reservoir is protected. That's great, man. I like that. So how do you think these power pads are installed on the side of this thing? Do y'all think they're Velcroed on there? Do y'all think they're permanently affixed in like one spot? Do you think they clip on there? Because I don't see any Velcro like along the whole panel whenever this guy's riding it along. Let's see. A close up. I'm really hoping the final product comes with these orange these orange pedals. These orange pedals are sweet right here. I hope this isn't like just, in the rendering right here. I hope that it actually comes with these they look like they're powder coated like orange pedals. Those are nice, man. I'm liking that a lot. So another thing to note on this is the fact that it has a 68 mile per hour spin speed. And so for people that are newer, maybe to electric unicycles, that doesn't mean you'll be able to ride it at 68 miles per hour. That means if you lift it up, that means the free spin on it with no weight on top of it. But you'll be able to get, guys, I'm assuming this wheel will be able to ride at about 53 miles per hour. And the reason I think that is because Inmotion chose to not let a lot of the people or to not let the Inmotion V13 be unlocked to the masses to go past that 54 miles per hour mark. Or for some people it's different. Some people say 54, 55, 56 miles per hour, but they didn't unlock it for like two people to go 60 miles per hour, and then they didn't let any more do that. And I didn't, I haven't questioned them anymore about trying to do that, but I know that's something that is kind of pushing it, especially for right now when it comes to electric unicycles. For Inmotion, they're kind of geared towards safety, and I think one of their things is they don't really want you going past like 54 miles per hour. So I don't think I think it will go like 50. I think we'll be able to see the exact same speeds as like the stock V13, which is fast as shit. I mean, the V13 flies. Y'all have seen my shorts, my videos of me getting that thing on the road and then just opening it up, and it absolutely flies. But one thing to note is this being a smaller diameter wheel, your acceleration is going to be much quicker. And the acceleration on the V13 is already crazy fast. So this is going to be a 4,000 watt motor, 9,000 watt peak power, but your tire diameter, your wheel diameter is smaller, and so your acceleration is going to be quicker. You know, your distance from your motor to your contact point is so much smaller than on the V13. Dude, this thing, once you get comfortable with riding this thing on trails and stuff, dude, this is going to be like the first wheel you're going to be able to on command, like throw rooster tails with. I mean, seriously, if you get to be that confident of riding, of balancing and standing in place, you're going to be able to on command, just lean forward and just rooster tail. I think this thing will be that powerful. I really do. I mean, it will be an exceptionally powerful machine, and I think it will be quality, and I think it will be safe. So this is, and another thing to note, look at these power pads. If you've ever, I think this is going to be like kind of like a moleskin texture on the outside right here. A very nice type of moleskin texture on the outside. And I'm liking the fact, like, these look nice, man. These look like it's going to be a rigid foam on this. And it looks like it's going to hold up over time. It looks like these are really nice. And you'll probably, say if you damage these, you'll probably be able to buy straight up replacements. And I hope that they're not too expensive or anything like that. But it looks like, the outside of this is going to be plastic. So if they do fall over or slide, they're not going to rip apart or anything like that. And you'll probably be able to buy quick replacements. I hate to see it for the guys out there that print power pads and stuff like that. I think they definitely don't want to see this. But I think for the consumer, having it ship with great, ergonomic power pads like everybody just wants to buy anyways, having it ship with these is a huge win. Inmotion is definitely listening to the community and doing exactly what we want to see. They got the bumpers on the batteries, clean design, 2 handles on this thing. Man, it's perfect, bro. It literally looks perfect. But this is the Inmotion adventure. Damn, dude. They nailed it, bro. They nailed it with this one. I'm so excited for this wheel, bro. I'm so excited. I'm stoked, bro. I'm so stoked. I cannot wait to get this thing on the trails. I cannot wait. What an awesome... If I had to make an electric unicycle, this is exactly how I would make it look. And this is how I would make it... I would literally ship it with the power pads like this. I'd do the off-road tire. I'd make it orange. I'd do everything like this, bro. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Win, bro. And if it's over, dude, if this thing is over 2,400 watt hours, bro, mega win. Like if this thing is like 2,800 watt hours, bro, close to that 3,000 while still being a smaller, lighter weight wheel, this is going to be absolutely incredible, bro. You'll be able to ride it to the trails, ride all day on the trails, and then ride it home. So it's all oil filled and then it's sealed. So all this is sealed in here. So you're not going to get any dust. You're not going to get any rocks. You're not going to get any sand, anything in here to damage this. You don't want to damage this rod right here that slides up and down. So all this is sealed. And Inmotion overbuilds everything. And you can just look at this right here. It looks like they got a whole plastic piece on top of the seal. And then it's just like double sealed. And so this suspension mechanism is going to be, it's going to be the smoothest, nicest of all, bro. I'm telling you, because Inmotion overbuilds everything, bro. And like you can just tell, most companies would leave this whole part off. This whole entire like plastic housing, whatever this is up here. This is just extra protection for the seal. This may even be metal. This will probably actually be metal now that I look at it. All right, so let's talk about some stats on this thing. So your official stats have not been released on this thing in terms of weight and in terms of watt hours. And that's some like 2 things that have kind of been hidden and they haven't released yet. And I think there is a reason why they haven't released it. And it's because it might not be exactly what everybody is hoping for. And it's one of those things that people just got to come to terms with, when it comes to these wheels. I really was hoping this thing would be 3,000 watt hours. And, you know, if you look at it and you just look at the size of this thing, I mean, really, I want y'all to look at the size of this wheel. Let's look at the size of this wheel real quick. It's not very big, guys. After riding the V13, you know, this wheel compared to the V13, it just doesn't come up as high. It doesn't look nearly as big for sure. And I was hoping that we'd see, I mean, I was hoping this would be at least 3,000 watt hours. And it might be. There's a chance it could be, you know, 3,000 watt hours. But I'm thinking, looking at this and looking at the size of these batteries on the sides, they come up high. This battery box comes all the way to the very top right here and goes all the way down to this pedal, guys. I mean, so that is a substantial, and there's 4 of them. And I think they're going to be modular. So that's another thing to note on this wheel. And by modular, I think you're going to be able to quick disconnect them and maybe swap on a new battery. And that would be very cool to see, is them to sell these batteries. You know, you got a battery here, and then, you know, on the other side, same thing. And I think it'd be really cool to see them sell these batteries to where if you wanted to have one extra one with you in a backpack, you could you hot swap it, you know, maybe disconnect this real quick and throw it on there. And they say, you know, that's one thing that you might see with this wheel for sure. And that would be very cool to see. I would like that. But when it comes to terms of watt hours, we have to think about what each individual one of these are gonna be, and then add it up to 4. How many watt hours would be in each one of these, you know, realistically? Cells could you realistically fit in the side of each one of these things, and then multiply by 4, and, you know, that's where you're gonna be at. And it's just, I don't see. I mean, if you did 800, you know, 800 per pack, which would be crazy, and then it'd be 16, and then there's no way that'd be over, you know, that'd be over 3,000 watt hours right there. So I think it would be more like, there's probably going to be, let's say, 600 watt hours in each of these. So 600, you'd have 1,200, you'd have, so it'd be, I think this wheel will probably be 2,400 watt hours. I think it'll probably be right around that, because I think each one of these packs will be 600 watt hours. Each one of these individual ones, so 600 times 4, and then, you know, that'll be 2,400 watt hours. It's probably realistically what you can expect, because you cannot expect to fit 800 watt hours in each one of these, and it'd be too heavy, too bulky. And looking at this right here, I mean, that's a big battery pack. You know, you can fit a lot in that, but you can't fit 800 watt hours of 21700 cells in there. There's no way. So this is going to be between 600 and 700 watt hours per pack times 4 on there. And that's what you can expect for your watt hours. For your weight on this, guys, it won't be over 100 pounds for sure, because they got a lot of, you know, that's one, you don't want that for trail riding. It's not going to be over 100 pounds. And I don't think it'll be under 70 pounds. So I think it'll be, I know 30, you know, that's a huge range in there. But, you know, realistically, I think it'll be about probably, I hate to say it, but I think it'll probably be about, let's see, about 83 to 90 pounds. I think it really will be, guys. I think it will be a little bit heavier than what people are expecting. But we'll have to see. So a lot of the weight on the V13, guys, came from how big the actual wheel was. So on the V13, you got a 20-inch wheel there. And a lot of the weight came from the actual size of that whole metal, you know, of the whole metal wheel itself. And the metal hub that went around the motor, how big the actual motor hub had to be to drive such a big wheel. I mean, the actual motor unit of the V13 is exceptionally heavy. So this being smaller, this being, you know, a 17-inch wheel being way smaller and having way less material overall, I think it'll cut down the weight. It should cut it down at least by 20 pounds. All right, so you can see right here, this is a actual real view of the Inmotion Adventure right here. And it does have, look at this. So it does, this is a real life view of it right here. And I'm liking the tire. I'm liking this knobby tire. It looks like it has the exact same tire that the V-Goat Extreme is going to ship with. I mean, it looks like it's the identical tire. And, they're going to be like the identical size wheels, both 17-inch wheels. And this looks like it really is the exact same tire from the exact same manufacturer on this as it is on the Extreme, just by looking at the two. I'm really liking the fact you got these two pads on the front right here to lay the wheel down. You can use this as a kickstand just to lay the wheel down on the front. The grab handles look nice on this thing. Really, really nice looking, clean design. I'm really liking it, guys. I mean, it honestly is one of the best looking unicycles I think we've seen. And I think in person, most people are gonna like the colors. I think it looks good. I think it looks way more interesting than all black. Another thing to note, I think this is honestly the exact same headlight from the V13, and it's just turned sideways, bro. I mean, it has the same little, that little eyeball that the V13 has in the middle. It literally looks like the V13 headlight just turned sideways and kind of like in an open manner here, which is fine. Reuse the parts that work, but I really think that's the old V13 headlight for sure. And then you see that we got the power pads. If you look close right here, it looks like these power pads clip on, guys. So you see this little groove section in here. It might be kind of hard to see. But you see this little groove section right there? It looks like this is like on a track or a clip-on type of mechanism or something that clips to the wheel that's probably stronger than Velcro, which I'm liking to see that. Now, I hope you can adjust these a little bit. I'm hoping you might be able to slide these down, slide them up, and adjust them a little bit. That'd be cool. But also, now that I'm looking at it here, if you look real close, that looks like almost like a Velcro, a gap right there where there's a Velcro piece right here and a Velcro piece down here. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, right here it looks like it clips to the wheel, but right here it looks like there's Velcro. So we'll have to see once it ships. But it looks like it's definitely going to come with power pads, which is awesome. You're not going to have to buy these. That's a whole nother expense. But now it's going to be putting the people that make the power pads out of business, guys. What's the 3D printing power pad making guys going to do now that the wheel comes with them? So Inmotion be putting people out of business, bro. All right, so it's going to be a 4,000 watt motor with a peak power of 9,000 watts with 850 newtons of torque. So on the inside, so this is another thing to note. So this is kind of the whole way the whole inside of this thing looks. You get your standard great hollow axle design on this thing. This is a far superior design than the old school axle design. This is the way all the wheels are going now. Very, very sturdy, rigid, design. Can take huge drops. Even without suspension, this design can handle huge drops without, malfunctioning. But you got this great cushy suspension on this thing. But I think a lot of the weight savings, guys, so the weight on this wheel will be vastly lower than the V13 simply because it is a smaller diameter wheel. So you got weight, a lot of the weight from the V13 was in the wheel itself, in the motor, in the rim, etc. This is going to just be a lot smaller. The smaller the wheel, the smaller the motor, smaller the rim, the lower the overall weight of the thing. And I think Inmotion is going to have a power plant of a machine while having it be, and it's going to be extremely fast, but it's not going to be nearly as heavy as the V13. And, we're going to still see a lot of battery power in this thing. I mean, look at how big these battery packs are. Huge. They go all the way to the top almost and then come all the way down here below the pedals. And I think we're going to see, we might even see up to like 2,800 watt hours. I don't think we'll see over 3,000 though. I think we could see up to like 2,800 watt hours, and still see a relatively lighter weight wheel. It's still not going to be extremely lightweight. The weight's something people are going to have to get used to, but it's going to be better than trying to whip around a V13 through the trails. All right, so it's going to have the Raptor controller in it, the same control board that the V13 has, guys. And that's a control board I trust, guys. I've looked at the V13 and how thick those motor wires are, how good these connections are in here, how well this thing is sealed up, and it is a incredible motherboard compared to looking at any of the other wheels I've ever looked at. This is a beautiful, beautiful, and this is what you want this to be, a well-built piece right here. This is what's keeping you upright and keeping you from face planting the concrete. This is, and this one, the Raptor control board is one I trust, dude. It really is. You just look at it. You open up the V13 and look at it, and it's nice. And I wouldn't change anything about it, and that's why they did. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that's what their philosophy was when it came to the Raptor control board, just because it works very well. And if it can take the speeds and just the power of your braking and your acceleration of the V13, it'll be able to handle a smaller wheel, no problem at all. So that's why they probably stuck to it. It looks like this is going to be a powerful wheel. It looks like it's going to have a lot of torque. I've heard that it has comparable torque to the Patton. The Patton is just known, man. You've seen the videos of the Patton, the veteran Patton, just climbing up the sides of sheer, like, crazy inclines, man. And the motor just going, man, and doing burnouts and just still climbing and aggressively, like, very, very raw motor power. And I think this is what the Inmotion Adventure will have. And a lot of people didn't like the V13 because I'm telling you, that's why I explained it in my video before about the V13 for trail riding, is you got to maintain your momentum. It's a great wheel for trail riding, but you got to maintain your momentum. If you're a rider that slows all the way down and then you need to regain your speed through torque to get up, you got to torque out of your corners on trails to get up to speed, maybe up a hill, up a little, a little turn section that's uphill or whatever, and you lose all your speed on that V13. It can be kind of challenging to, get that power you need out of it. But I think this one's going to be completely redesigned to where it's kind of geared for that trail riding situation, where if you come around a corner, you have no speed at all and you're faced with an uphill, I think this will have just the raw power to just power up it, no problem. And with a smaller diameter wheel, that also really helps with your whole with how much power you have. Because if this makes sense, and this is the case for all electric unicycles, when you have spokes in it, so like with any wheel, any electric unicycle that has spokes, like I'm talking like 20-inch wheels or so, that you have the motor hub here, and then you have spokes that branch out. All those wheels suffer on the torque side because, think about this, the motor is farther away from the point of contact to the ground. With wheels like this, where the motor hub is meshed right up against the edge of the rim, and there's not much room, there's not much space from the actual motor right here to the drive, to the contact point, they all have crazy more torque than wheels like, for instance, like the Master Pro. I can already tell you, I've never rode the Master Pro before, but I can tell you this torque on it would probably suffer, not because the motor isn't powerful, just because it has a farther distance from the motor to the point of contact on the ground being the tire, because it has those spokes in there to increase the whole size of the wheel to 22 inches. So all the wheel, that's why, for instance, like the M10-4 has crazy torque for such a little tiny wheel, instant power, just because you got the motor so close to the point of contact on the ground. And with all wheels like that, like with the V12 high torque, for example, I mean, that thing is crazy torquey just because there's not any, you got the rim and the motor are pretty much one piece, there's no spokes in there. And that's one thing to note about electric unicycles. When you get a wheel with the spokes on it, you're going to suffer with motor power just because that motor is far away from that actual contact point. Headlight looks very bright on this thing, and it looks like you'll be able to angle it. So you'll probably be able to tilt it like this. You'll be able to tilt the headlight like up and down, similar to like with the M10. But just the way it looks, I assume you'll probably be able to tilt it up and down to get the right angle you want on this headlight. But it looks like you got nice rear lighting on this. I can't exactly see what the tail lights look like on this, but I assume, it looks bright. The tail lights, it looks like it might go around this whole back piece back here, and then you probably have some more lighting in the back around this shock. All right, so pre-orders are going to be going live for this thing within the next few days. I know a lot of the sites are getting them up right now. I don't know exactly what the final price is going to be on this thing yet, but I know the pre-order price will probably be $1,000. You put your pre-order in, and as soon as these things arrive at port, you'll get a message, remaining amount, and you'll get this thing sent your way. But I think this will be one of the best electric unicycles ever made. By far, I think it will be a top seller, and I think it will dominate the off-road racing game. It'll be very interesting to see this thing with a street tire. And I think getting this thing set up with a street tire and getting the suspension, you'll be able to really tighten the suspension up. Where it's not plush, you'll be able to get the suspension rigid to where you can race it, where you can kind of sink down in your corners a little bit, power out of them a lot, and really adapt this wheel to, I think, road racing as well as trail riding. But I want to see one of the first people to put a road tire on this thing for sure. I think it'll look sweet. But stay tuned, guys. I want to get my hands on one of these things and bring y'all a real review of it, an in-person, hands-on review as soon as I can. And just stay tuned for that, because I will be getting one and we'll be putting this thing through all the tests. So, but I think you're safe to pre-order this thing. Inmotion has proven to be one of the best electric unicycle companies by far. I still have my V12 high speed, my V12 high torque, and my V13, and they all work perfectly fine. I have tons of miles on them, and they work great. The V11 that I had, that was a demo wheel, and I sent that back, but the whole time I had that V11 as a demo wheel, it was stellar. So every Inmotion product I've ever had has been incredible. So I think this one will be too, and I think you're safe to pre-order. I think if you want to pre-order an electric unicycle, I think this is the one to do it. And a lot of people have that first batch fear when it comes to electric unicycles, but I think Inmotion is a company that really makes sure they get their products right before they send them out. So, anyways, if you want to pre-order it, links below. I greatly appreciate it. It gives me a little kickback, no extra cost to you, and lets me be able to travel around and film cool content, pay for hotels, etc. And I greatly appreciate that. Anyways, it's been Chooch. If y'all enjoyed the video, throw it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.